Welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find us every one of those days here on the Edgework YouTube channel, so make sure to head over there. Hit that subscribe button if you want to comment in real time. If you have questions that you want to ask, we will see them on YouTube. We won't see them on Twitter, unfortunately, so make sure to get yourself over to YouTube if you want to engage during the show here today. A lot of stuff going on. We got the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday. We talked earlier in the week about some cross-sport props. Matt and Alex had some looks at some NHL stuff for that day that they were looking at in terms of player points compared to touchdown passes and things like that. So that was pretty fun. Then yesterday on the Forward Progress YouTube channel with Rob Pizzola, if you want to check that out, they went through and did an entire prop show. 23 different guests, 23 different people gave out their favorite prop for this Sunday, the Super Bowl Sunday, and now today, NBA trade deadline. So a ton of stuff going on. And if you do want to catch up on everything that's happening in the NBA trade deadline, make sure to head over after the show to the Board NBA YouTube channel. That is our NBA content here on the Hammer Betting Network. There will be a live trade deadline watch along with Jacob Gramenia, some different guests joining him. His daily host, or co-host, Pips will be on there. Josh Goodwin, Clive Bixby, the different guys like that jumping in to talk about what's gone on so far in the trade deadline, how this affects futures markets. But we are the NHL show. There are 7 different games on here tonight, so we'll get into all of those. But Russ, So Money, guys, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, very good, man. Excited for all these games and excited for this weekend.
Yeah, it's a big one. Lots of information coming out with the trades. It's not quite like what we'll see with the NHL, unfortunately. I mean, you'd like to be able to wake up one day and see that some huge name players have been moved, but it's not exactly the case of what we get here in the NHL.
Yeah, so. It's like the equivalent of like the Lightning just waking up and trading, one of their best players, and like the Avs waking up and trading like McKinnon or Kilmakar. The NBA is absolutely insane what happens in the NBA.
Yes, it's really exciting to watch, but it's like mind-blowing too to just wake up and having seen that in the middle of the night a trade for one of the best players in the NBA has gone down, and like it's casual. That's just a normal occurrence for them.
Yeah. It's fun, and the chaos is good for us, but the hard cap of the NHL just kills any sort of movement like that, right? So
yeah. Does not allow it at all. So if you do want to see the NBA action that's gone on today, make sure to head over to the Board NBA YouTube channel. Give them a subscribe, and you'll get notified when they go live later today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to break down all the trades that have gone on throughout the day and the trades that continue to roll in as the deadline approaches. But let's start with today's games. We got San Jose heading to Florida here. This is interesting because on Monday's show, So Money, we had talked about the spot that Florida was in. They're in a place where they need wins. They feel like they could potentially push into the playoffs here. They are 3 points back of Pittsburgh, and they have played 3 more games than them. They're 4 points back of Washington, but same number of games there, so washes out on that. But this team's been hot. They were playing really well rolling into the All-Star break. They come out. Matthew Tkachuk basically says, all right, let's go. I'm going to will us to this win. Gets 5 points in a 7-1 victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning. They had beaten Boston going into the break. This team's probably feeling pretty good about themselves. 6-2-2 in their last 10. at home against San Jose tonight. Florida's 14-7-3. So Money, is there a certain side or angle that you would look at this one?
I think with all San Jose games right now, you want to be looking at the over. They give up a ton. They're actually able to generate well now, and their goaltending has just been brutal. Now that said, we're already into the juiced 6.5 into the 7 range, so that kind of is where it should be. Also, when you're looking at a San Jose over, this team is playing very well right now. They are, if you go back a certain point in time, they are one of the top teams 5-on-5 in the league right now, and that's actually surprising. They've had a lot of bad luck results as well. So if you do like the over in Sharks games, you expect it to be a high event game, which I do think favors the Sharks. Now Florida, I'm not high on them this season. I do think that they are gonna miss the playoffs. I know conventional wisdom here dictates that they're gonna get it together. I don't really see it. So I think that there is some value on the Sharks here, but as we are speaking, there's money coming in on the Sharks right now. The best number on the board for us right now is +1.
Seeing
Yeah,
plus
I think
200 there.
yeah, I'd be willing to go Sharks at +200. But yeah, that's where I'd be comfortable on the Sharks right now. And also Barkov is out as well, so
Mhm.
I think that's something to account for as well. Oh, there you go. Just saw it in the comments.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's basically, kind of what I was going to go over too. My numbers have this north of 7 by a little bit. I was hoping that we would find a 6.5 today at kind of a cheaper price, but pretty much painted 7 across the board. If we do end up, and it's dipped a little, a couple of these books are getting a little bit of under money for some reason.
It's for
Um,
Barkov.
Probably just because of Barkov. And I've got in my notes here too that Brady Kachuk didn't practice, so I'm not sure if he's in tonight or not. That would be something to monitor. But yeah, I pretty much agree with everything that Some Money said here. If I could get a 6.5 -125, I'd probably hit that over, but it doesn't look like it's gonna get down in that region. And so looking at the side here, I would certainly side with the Sharks at this price. The Panthers are just kind of getting back into their old habits from last year. They are first in expected goals for in the last 10 games, but they're 29th in expected goals against. Their defense has just been absolutely atrocious. And they really don't have goaltending to back it up either. They're kind of hanging out their goaltender to dry, and they're giving up a lot of chances. And the Sharks are a team that will take advantage of those chances if you give them. And so I could easily see this game getting to 3-3. And if you've got a +200 ticket, that's definitely the way to go if you're looking there. And you could easily make a case for the over too if you could find a cheap price there. So there'll be no play for me, but hopefully the Sharks can get this one on the road.
All right, I guess a question for you guys on this. We're seeing Barkov out, and you're talking about how there's some money coming now on the under. How much truly, when the two of you look at it, So Money, we'll start with you. When you look at these, a player is out, the total of a game, the fluctuation, how much value, and I think Barkov is a pretty good example of this in this situation where you see a big name player, the captain of the Florida Panthers, he's out. How much is that affecting the total for you?
So the total depends, right? So like a player like Barkov, he should impact the total, but the market tends to overreact on the totals with the player like Barkov out. Now, you have to also keep in mind that it's not necessarily the individual player that's out that you should be adjusting everything for. It's how that player impacts the rest of the lineup, right? So Barkov being off out, obviously it's going to be a bigger impact because there's the minutes allocation changes as well. So someone like Barkov, I would put a reasonable amount of kind of change in the total,
Mhm.
but we know that Florida is still going to give up chances, right? So it you kind of have to look at all the other variables as well, as opposed to like, okay, one player is out, so we're gonna adjust the total now. If Florida was playing a team like, I don't know, like a strong defensive team like Boston, for example, right? Like there would be a different adjustment than if they're playing a team like San Jose.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm pretty similar there. Barkov is definitely one of the higher end players that you could miss as far as like adjusting the line. And I just ran it through my model real quick, and I would need the full starting lineup, the full starting line combinations for Florida to give you an actual exact number. But yes, it does significantly dip my numbers on the Florida money line, and as well as the over under. Like so many said, I think one of the interesting things is to think about is how those other lines play without him and with someone else that they're not used to playing with if they move someone up into that spot. So they're getting a different center on the first line, and that could affect those other guys' play as well. And I think something else you have to think about is how good are these forwards at defense. Some of these teams have very good defensive forwards as well, and I'm not sure that I would put Barkov in that mix. So this is exactly why you're seeing some money come in on the under 7 right now. But yeah, it's an interesting, like you said, so money. This just makes my numbers on the Sharks look even better with no Barkov.
All right, so if you can get quickly, it looks like it's still available, a plus 200 there on San Jose. So we did track that on the Edgework account. And if you want to see all the picks in real time, everything that gets tracked and how we do through the course of the season, make sure to head over to Edgework HQ on BetStamp. You'll see us in the Find Better section, up 48 units on the year, 8.7% ROI. So doing
awesome.
Pretty well across all the shows. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm curious to hear when you break it down per day, what the days are like, because I think our Thursday show's been doing pretty well.
I think we have too, and it was asked of me on Tuesday to do that, so I'm trying to figure out if there's a way we can break down the days. Yeah, haven't quite got that breakdown yet, but yeah, I think we are doing pretty well on the Thursdays. So
yeah, for sure.
Also here, Mike Swingle saying it just dropped to 6.5 minus 135 on DraftKings and plus 190 to 165. So if you want those San Jose numbers, grab them quick, I guess.
That's crazy.
The move that Mike's citing there, that's a little bit too aggressive for me, but yeah, like it should keep moving a little bit more.
Yeah, that's obviously one of the most square books there with DraftKings.
Yeah.
But no, that's crazy moves.
All right, so money. You're looking at the Seattle, New Jersey game here tonight. Seattle right now, second in the Pacific Division. And I talked to Russ before we started this one. One thing that I've really enjoyed so far this year of doing the show every day is every day in the morning checking the standings again. I look at them before I go to bed, see where things have gone just based on games that day, and then look at them again in the morning to see what's going on there. And just the movement and the tightness in the standings, especially in the Western Conference, even waking up and looking at the standings themselves has just become an exciting thing to do, to see where everyone is at. And you're looking right now at that Pacific Division. You got Seattle, who's second. They're 1 point back of Vegas. They got 2 games in hand on them. They're tied with LA in points, but they've got 3 games in hand on LA, so they got the edge there. 1 point up on Edmonton, who's holding the first wild card spot. They got a game in hand on Edmonton. Like, at any moment, there could be some type of breakthrough for some team, or teams dropping out of our vision, falling out of playoff spots. Like, it is very, very tight. This Seattle team, 5-4-1 in their last 10. They did just lose to the Islanders 4-0 in their last game. They're going on the road to face off against New Jersey, and they're 16-6-2 on the road. A pretty good road team here, but they're going up against a New Jersey team who's second in the Metro, and they're 8-1-1 in their last 10 on a 2-game winning streak, having beaten Dallas 3-2 and Vancouver 5-4 in their most recent games. This is 2 pretty good teams going up against each other. It'll be pretty exciting to watch. But if there a side that you would lean to in this one, Seattle on the road, pretty good on the road. New Jersey, about 500 at home.
Yeah, there was a side that I'm still leaning on this game, but I do need more more information first. But to just set this up a little bit, this has been an interesting game for me. I am bullish on the Devils, and I think that there's still some value on them to win that division as well. They have struggled with their play, but they've also had a tough schedule lately, right? So even though they're getting results, they came off a Western trip where they played well enough to win, but they didn't look as impressive as their results dictate. Then they had tough games against the Penguins, Vegas, in Nashville, and in Dallas. They even had a tough game against the Canucks, who are playing hard right now. They just suck, right? So a concern I have for the Devils lately is that their last four wins have been in overtime. Of course, that's not sustainable. Seattle, for their part against the Islanders, they should have just probably stayed in the hotel room there, but they they had they had nothing in that game. Now, granted, it was a tough spot to come back from a layoff playing a team that has already played. That's a very difficult situation to be in.
Yeah.
Their offensive generation lately has been lacking, but they've also been without some guys. So I'll give them that. I'll give them that break on that front as well. For tonight, I do expect Grubauer and Ned. And as much as I have ripped him in the past, especially last season. He actually has been good enough this season, and his recent form is trending up. So I'm not I'm not as hesitant to put money on him. Vanacek has also been strong for the Devils, but I think we are on Mackenzie Blackwood watch here. I think that there's a good chance that he might get the start. Now, he is someone who I am higher than on market, but he's still a significant enough downgrade on Vanacek that if we do get a Blackwood start, that does create an edge for me on Seattle. So I do think we have an opportunity to buy Seattle here at their market low price, and sell the Devils for this game at least, with a possible downgrade to Blackwood. So it's unfortunate because it looks like the Devils are having an optional skate this morning. So we're not going to know the starting goaltender for a little bit here. But if it is Blackwood, I will be on the Kraken today.
All right. So that would be a wait for the announcement type of move. A wait to see the Blackwood and then jump in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have a ton to add here. This is a tricky game for me because I've got futures on both these teams pretty heavily. I've got the Devils pretty heavily to win the Eastern Conference, and I've got Seattle. I've got Hackstall to win the Jack Adams, and I've got them to win the Pacific. So I definitely, and there's so many variables with the goalies on both sides. There's so much up in the air right now. So I would definitely need to know who's starting before I could make an accurate prediction on this game. But yeah, so this is so up in the air. I think, just to kind of hit on what so many said, I've loved both these teams all year. We've been betting on both these teams all year, and both of them have been kind of slowing play recently. I think it's important to note that the Devils' schedule has been a lot tougher than earlier in the year, and they've still actually been winning. But they're not driving play as much as they were, and their defense has really struggled since the beginning of this new year. So I'm a little worried, but they're still winning. I mean, that's exactly what we talked about a couple weeks ago. They just keep winning for some reason. So no, I'll be sitting this one out. Either way, this is a great. It should be a great game to watch and should be very interesting for the Pacific Division.
And of course, both Vanacek and Blackwood are both on the ice right now for the optional.
In the optional.
So there's nothing you can read into there either.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
That's great. Well, I'm sure at some point during the show we'll get some type of so money breaking news type announcement here about who's starting and what to do with that game. But make sure to stay tuned throughout the course of the show because you might get that info. One thing that I found is kind of fun about doing the Thursday shows. I don't know if you find this as well, so money, but it's getting the getting the reminder about the different futures that Russ has in his portfolio. Because there'll be teams or games that I bring up, and then Russ will be like, "Oh yeah, this with my future," and I'm like, I forgot that you had that talking about each different
Yeah,
team.
and that's we were talking right before I got on, right before the cameras turned on. Yeah, I have quite a few futures, and it's tricky sometimes. Like games like this, it's like you've got so many futures on these two teams that you already have, plenty of money on the game as is. So I'm not really taking a side either way. But yes, anytime we talk about the Devils, I won't hesitate to bring up that 50-1 future. So
I mean, it's 50-1. That's
we'll
Yeah.
see.
I've been
We'll
talking about
see.
that every day too.
I know for now, and then you get to the playoffs and you probably won't hear it out of my mouth again.
I'm like walking on the street to like random people. Hey man, I got
Right.
50-1 on the Devils.
I know. No, I mean, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Well, a team that I can't remember if you had a future on or not, but the Calgary Flames heading to Detroit tonight to take on the Red Wings. This Calgary team, as we're talking about movement in the playoffs and people bumping in and out, they're currently sitting just outside of a West wildcard spot. They're tied with Colorado and Minnesota, I guess, with points. They have played 2 more games than Colorado at this point. They're 4 points back of the Edmonton Oilers. They played the same amount of games as the Oilers. This team has just kind of struggled to find their way all season. Earlier on, we were saying, hey, we're not worried about them. They're going to find their way. Then it started to look like maybe they have. And then now it's kind of revert to not necessarily one way or the other. They're kind of just hovering. They're just kind of existing at this point. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10. They did lose their first game back after the break to the New York Rangers in what was a pretty exciting game for those who watched, losing that one 5-4 on the road tonight against Detroit. They're 10-8-8 on the road. And in terms of Detroit, this team has lost their last 2 games. They lost to the Islanders 2-0. They lost to the Oilers, 5-2. That game was at home, so this is another home game for them here. 12-11-3. Russ, is there anything in this one that you'd be looking for as this Calgary team tries to find their way going into a Detroit team that is likely to move some pieces at this deadline here?
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting game. No futures on the Flames, as I've gone back and forth as to whether I think this team is legit or not. I'm sort of middle of the road right now. We've definitely debated it. Kind of interesting. I just got a notification that Rasmus Anderson, the defenseman for Calgary, was in a accident last night. Was hit riding a scooter on his way to dinner and was struck by a vehicle. So that's kind of interesting, and I'll have to put that in my model and kind of see. But that literally just popped up on my notifications on Twitter, so keep an eye on that. That's interesting. As far as the number goes, I think this is a little bit short on the Flames. I haven't played anything yet, but I have kind of circled. DraftKings has a -150 and -155. I've got this number closer to -170, -175 for the Flames. So this will probably end up being a play on the road here. And I'm not exactly sure. It's such a weird situation because almost at this point, you almost prefer Dan Vladar in net for the Flames, which is such a backwards thought process because the last couple of years, Markstrom has been one of the best goalies in net, in the league. So it's just very dependent on the goalie for me. I will probably end up on the Flames here. I don't think I'm quite ready to pull the trigger on it yet. Then when you flip the puck and look at this Detroit Red Wings team, I mean, I think this team is really struggling. I think that they've kind of resulted in playing a very defensive, very low pace, very low event type of game. And, I listened to a podcast with Derek Lalonde on it the other day, and he was kind of explaining how he understands that, this is a rebuilding year. He understands that might be beneficial for them to get a higher draft pick. He kind of hinted at, I can't make the players play that way, but, this is kind of a rebuilding year and, don't look for the Red Wings to make a run. So that was really, really telling for me to kind of see where they're at, and we've got Ville Husso starting, and he's just been absolutely awful. 76 in goals saved above expectation. So I would not be surprised, if I would end up on the Flames here. I just think the price is a little bit short. Should be a little higher than -150 in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm staying far away from this game. A couple of notes. Russ mentioned. I've been banging the Vladar drum for the last couple of years now. I think that any time that he gets confirmed, we see the market overreact when
Yeah.
he's actually a pretty good goaltender. And right now, he is the best option in Calgary. So
Mhm.
um, I'm staying away. Calgary, you could make a case as Russ has done that if only if Vladar starts, in my opinion, you can make a case that Calgary is a little bit short. Um, I don't want anything to do with this Red Wings team, and this is and I'm sure we're going to talk about this going forward, but this brings up another discussion about teams like Detroit um, that know that they're out of it. We
Mhm.
have seen a strong correlation as the season goes on to big favorites starting to win in the NHL as the season goes on, and that's because just the gap between a team like Detroit and a team that still has something to play for, that gap just widens as the season progresses. But I don't think we're there yet. I don't want anything to do with Detroit. I don't want anything to do with Markstrom. So I'm gonna sit this one out.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, just to touch on that, Vladar's won his last 5 starts. I mean, it's crazy. And then for the market to move against him when he gets confirmed, that's completely backwards. So I'm going to run those numbers with Anderson out, and then hopefully we get Vladar, and I'll probably end up on the Flames.
All right, keep your eye on that one there as Russ runs those numbers and we see what kind of goalie information that we can get. But another game here to look at tonight. This one I am excited for. I think this will be a fun game to watch. The Colorado Avalanche heading to Tampa to take on the Lightning. Colorado right now, as talking about different movement that you see every single morning. Wake up this morning and basically because Minnesota lost last night, despite the fact that there's been no movement in points, they've now gone to the wild card spot and Colorado jumps in to hold third in the Central. Same number of points, same number of games played at this point. Colorado 7-2-1 in their last 10. They did just lose their last game to Pittsburgh 2-1, and that was quite unfortunate as I was sitting on Colorado money line in that one, and they lose. They're up 1-0 in a game they should have been up bigger. End up having the game tied up with about 4 minutes left in the third period, and then you lose that in OT. It's a tough way to go down to the Penguins there. And this Colorado team 14-9-1 on the road, heading into Tampa to face a Tampa team that has been great at home this year, 24-2, and they are 6-3-1 in their last 10. 2-game losing streak though, having lost to Florida 7-1, and then another spot San Jose 4-3. Both games coming after the break. So money, are we looking at a bounce back spot for Tampa here at home against Colorado, or could we potentially see Colorado roll in and take this one from the Lightning tonight?
So I am Colorado here. Actually, lock that in. I just don't want it to move more. It's like right on my cutoff right now. So I like them down to plus 107.
Okay.
Anything there we go to plus 108. Okay, yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. So about this game, I am on the Avalanche tonight. The Avs they were playing well going into the All Star break, and they continued where they left off against the Penguins in their first game back. Obviously, the result was unlucky for them, but I really have no problem with their current form, and they're getting guys back too. So and I fully expect Georgiev to be a net, who's been solid all season. So I have zero concerns about Colorado. I think that they're going to start moving up in the standings here as well. For Tampa Bay, they haven't been playing with the same urgency, and you can't really blame them, right? There's nowhere for them to go in the standings. They're a Stanley Cup pedigree team. They know they're going to play the Leafs in the first round again, and I don't think it matters to them really, whether they have home ice or not in that series. So they're just playing out the season, and they'll probably turn it around, or they'll try to turn it on when they need to work on getting back into form heading into the playoffs. Vasilevsky's play has dipped recently for his from his season long form. Now, again, with him, I'm not concerned about him long term, but in a singular event tonight against a good team, a small dip in his play is good enough for me to have is a good enough edge that's created for me to be on the Avs tonight.
Yep, this is the one game that I'll push back on a little bit, and it's just a pure numbers play for me. As you guys know, if you followed this show, I'm always high on Tampa Bay at home. This team plays awesome at home, but this is certainly not one of my favorite plays on the card tonight. And I can't really disagree with anything that So Money said at all. One of the most important things, or the biggest things that I'm concerned about is, Tampa Bay's lead. They're 9 points up on Buffalo. They really don't have anything to play for. That gap's not going to be, not going to close anytime quickly. But they lost their first 2 games back after the All-Star break, and they've got Avs coming to town. This should be a playoff atmosphere. This should be a very important game for both teams. Obviously, it's a lot more important for the Avalanche. This is a pure numbers play for me. I just was waiting to try and get a -115 on the Lightning, and it just popped up at Pinnacle. So we just locked that in. I have Tampa Bay closer to -135, -140, just because they're at home, just because of Vasilevsky. They're as far as like these 2 teams go, I have them ranked pretty closely. But then when you add in the home spot and a little bit of an edge on goal, not a ton, because Georgiev has been playing very, very well recently. Just that little bit of an edge gives me the Lightning here. But, this is not one of my favorite plays on the board at all. And, I would not be surprised to see Avs win at all. So we'll see. This should be a great game, though.
And we got Rich H in the chat here, the stat guy for the show at this point, popping these in, mentioning about the Calgary team last 4 head-to-head matchups of Calgary and Detroit there. Calgary 15 goals for, Detroit 3 goals for, Calgary 4-1 last 5 against Detroit. And then also mentioning Kucherov has a 16-game home point streak, 5 goals, 25 assists for 30 points in his last 16 games.
Wow.
So pretty interesting. And then Insight also mentioning Vasilevsky confirmed in goal for
Saw that. And then we just got Mackenzie Blackwood as the first goalie off the ice on the morning skate. So probable for Mackenzie Blackwood.
So Money, is that one that you'd want to circle back on there? Now we can pull that back up if there's anything in that. Otherwise, we can move on and go to the next game of the night.
Yeah, let's sorry, I'm just doing this live right now. Let's
yeah, all good.
Let's lock that in right now.
Okay. So for anyone watching right now, we do have there's a couple 138s looks like available. Pinnacle holding 138 down to like 135s, 130, and if you're in New Jersey, you could probably find a 140, 142s out there. But for ability to get it from most places, we'll take that plus 138 there tonight for the Seattle Kraken in that game against the New Jersey Devils. All right, next game of the night that we'll look to, Edmonton going to Philadelphia to take on the Flyers. Edmonton right now holding on to the first wildcard spot in that Western Conference. They have been really hot. They were playing really well going into the break, and now coming back out, continuing that. They are 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. They're on a 2-game win streak. Now, mind you, those 2 wins are against Chicago, 7-3, and Detroit, 5-2. Nonetheless, still managed to get wins, and they have been playing well, continuing that on. So, this Edmonton team 16-7-1 on the road, going up against a Philly team who's not been great. They are 4-4-2 in their last 10. They just lost to the Islanders 2-1, and they are 10-13-2. The Oilers tonight are a big favorite against the Flyers. So Money, we'll start there. Is this accurately priced for the Oilers tonight against the Flyers?
No, because I make the Oilers -250 against anybody at any time, because now I have the Mojo with them. So they should be heavy favorites every game. And I'm not going to change my background since I wasn't smooth doing it last time. So we'll just we'll keep the background as is. But no, I got nothing on this game. I think it's pretty fairly priced. the Oilers should be heavy favorites there. They're starting to come into their own now. They've been playing well. They got guys back, so the minutes allocation makes sense again. They're actually getting some strong defensive play, and dare I say, the goaltending is starting to show a little bit more consistency. So I think
Mhm.
this is a team that's on the upswing, and it's fair. And I don't have anything here, but we are all Oilers though.
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah, I don't have anything at all. I think if it was closer to 6.5, even money, I would look to the over. Obviously, you're getting -135, and juice sevens on the over. So I'm not gonna take anything there. And like somebody said, I think this should be a get in and get out with the win for the Oilers. And yeah, we should all be rooting for the Oilers if we got that Stanley Cup future in our pocket for sure.
And just as speaking on that too, I know that there was a couple of plus 800s and plus 700s for Prince as well. I don't know if that's around anymore, but I think that if you can get upwards of plus 700 on the Oilers on the conference right now, I think that that should present some value as well.
Sure.
Let's see what we can get there. I can't see the conference in season, but we'll see if anybody else can pull that up for them at home. If you can find those, then make sure to grab those. As somebody saying the good looks on those. We're gonna go a little bit out of order here because I want to see what So Money has to say about Vancouver to close this one out. So Russ, we'll go to you first. Vegas, Minnesota. Vegas right now, barely in first in the Pacific, 1 point up on Seattle. They've played 2 more games than the Kraken, 1 point up on the Kings. They've got a game in hand on them. 2 points up on Edmonton. They've played 1 more game than Edmonton. Like, there's just some interesting spots, as we said, where at any point, one team winning a game, one team losing a game could swing things drastically in terms of where they are in the standings, home and away, who everybody plays. This Vegas team struggling lately, 3-5-2 in their last 10. They did just beat Nashville 5-1. They're 16-5-4 on the road. Pretty good road team, but they're coming up here against a Minnesota team who's coming off a back-to-back against Dallas, played last night in Dallas. They're holding on to the last wild card spot, 5-5 in their last 10. And they are on a 2-game losing streak, having lost to Arizona 3-2 and Dallas 4-1. What side are you looking at in this game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild tonight, Russ?
Yeah, when I was looking at this schedule last night, I kind of had this game circled because I thought this would be a great spot to fade the Wild again, just as we did last night. It worked out well. But I ran my model, and it seems like the number is pretty much right on, so it probably won't be a play for me. Yeah, just kind of going under the hood, breaking this game down. I don't need to say too much more about the Wild. I've been betting against them pretty much all year. They just don't drive play. They're a pretty good defensive team, but they cannot score. And then Marc-Andre Fleury is absolutely terrible, so I look to bet against him pretty much every time he's in net this year. But on the flip side, yeah, this Vegas Knights team is playing awful as well. I think, them losing Mark Stone really, really changed the dynamic of this team. And we talked about, how other players play when some of their bigger name guys aren't in. I think this is a good example of that. They've just been playing terribly without Mark Stone. Jack Eichel has been hurt. It looked like he's coming back around. They beat the Preds pretty handedly on the road a couple nights ago. And so that was encouraging for me. But they're just not where I want them to be to play this team on the road at this short a price. Logan Thompson has been terrible for the Knights as well, 69th in goals saved above expectation. So as far as the number goes, I think this is probably right on. I think that the totals may be a little bit low, as we've talked about on here. Those 5.5 should be reserved for elite goalies and terrible offenses. And you don't have an elite goalie on either side here. You do have one terrible offense in the Wild that you cannot score at all. So there'll be nothing here. There'll be nothing here for me. There's only so much I can say. So many digs I can make on the Wild every week. I would love to play the Knights here, but the numbers just don't support it. I would need closer to like plus 120, plus 125 to play it. And So it'll be a pass for me.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit of a pushback. I actually don't think that Vegas has been playing poorly. I think that they're like recently, I think that they've suffered a few bad luck results there, namely um the OT loss against the Islanders and the OT lost in New Jersey as well. So that being said, this is the market low on the Wild right now, and that's not something that I want to bet against at this point, although I am
Sure.
closer on Vegas. Russ touched on it, and no matter how many closed door meetings they have trying to address their offense, um, you're just not going to turn it around at this point, right? Like you are who you are. So I think that I would have looked at the over, but it's just I don't want to get involved with the Wild offense. I don't want to get involved with Fleury, Thompson. I need more time on. And although there's some value on Vegas, you don't want to buy on. You don't want to fade a team that's already at the market low.
Yep.
All right. So money, the Vancouver Canucks. Where are we at with them here tonight? Going on the road to take on the Islanders. The immediate matchup. We don't have to wait very long to see Horvat and Beauvillier go up against each other in their new teams. Where are you at with this one? Where are you at with your Vancouver Canucks?
It's actually funny because like I've actually been fine with the Canucks play recently. Like the effort has been there. It's still a fire drill sometimes in the back end, but it's not as pronounced as it's been in the past. Now you just make a couple of mistakes in the middle of the game and they're goals, as opposed to making mistakes the whole game and you're giving up goals throughout the game. So I think that's an improvement. They still don't get consistent goaltending. They were unlucky in that Devils. It just kind of in the middle of that game, things just snowballed there. I do like how Talkit is holding players accountable, especially younger guys. I think that benching Kuzmenko in the last game was in the third period there for a large portion of it was probably the right move. Like he's a young kid who's going to be inconsistent, and as good as he is, you need to have that effort every night. So I'm fine with that. On the Islanders, I've kind of come down on them hard a lot this year because of their defensive play, and we kind of noticed them trying to tighten it up. And I was saying that they may not be able to. Now they have proven me wrong the last little bit here, because they have played very strongly. Although again, like, let's keep in mind it was against Detroit, Philadelphia, Seattle in a in a in a very bad spot as well. So we need to keep those things in mind. Today's game is actually going to be a good test for them, because the Canucks are able to generate offense, and I want to see how the Islanders defense holds up there. I do like the over, but it's been pushed up already into the juiced. We're already into the 6.5 range. So I don't want to play over 6.5 with Sorokin and Ned. So I will pass on this game, but things to look out for is if the Islanders defend, they're trying to do defensively, if they are for real, they'll be able to shut down the Canucks tonight. This is the first real kind of team that the Islanders are playing who can test them on the back end.
Yeah, just to kind of highlight what so many said, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. You're a great guy to go to for all the Canucks information that you need. But kind of at the break, we had talked about how my numbers have liked the Islanders recently, so we've been playing on them quite a bit, and they are on a 4-game win streak. And there should be something said about the schedule they've been playing. The schedule they've been playing is not good. But that is exactly who they're playing tonight. They're playing another dud tonight. So I think that the biggest concern for me is their defense. They're still 28th in expected goals against. Now, when you have the number one goalie, in the NHL on your side, you can win a lot more games, even with a terrible defense. But I did lock in the Islanders minus 130 in regulation this morning. That was before the Sebastian Aho healthy scratch. So that has changed my numbers a little bit and given me a little bit less of an edge. But I think that, if the Islanders can get to 3 goals here, they should easily win this game. If they can get to 4 goals here, then, definitely going to win this game. Just because I think that Sorokin can won't let more than 2 goals go by tonight. So I like the Islanders here. Then the narrative-y stuff with Bo Horvat and Bolivier, and I think that place is going to be absolutely lit up tonight. The arena, the place is just going to be going nuts on a Thursday night. Thursdays, people are just going to be partying. They want to see Bo Horvat, dominate his old team. So I do think there's a little bit of a narrative there, that's outside of the numbers that you could kind of touch on. But yeah, I like this Islanders team in regulation. I think that minus 130 is a good enough price to pay, and I would play that probably up to minus 140 or so. So yeah, that'll be one of the plays for us tonight.
All right, we'll lock that in there. Islanders in regulation minus 130 available. So lock that one in. And Rich H with a good comment here. I think this game comes down to the goalies and the fact that Bo brought momentum to the Islands. There you go. 2-0 with Bo Horvat right now, having beaten the Philadelphia Flyers 2-1 and Seattle Kraken 4-0. And that team as well, just outside of the East wildcard, tied with Pittsburgh in points. 4 more games played than Pitt, but 1 point back of Washington, and they've got 1 more game played than them. So they are right there in the mix and playing well lately. You get that re-signing of Bo Horvat, and all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good. Now, I'm going to ask you, the Islanders re-signed Bo Horvat. As someone who watches the Canucks closely, as a fan of the Canucks, you see that the Islanders re-signed Bo Horvat. Do you feel like you got enough back, or the Canucks got enough back in that trade there?
I think it's tough to tell right now. So based on what they were saying that they wanted back, they said they wanted a roster player, they wanted a prospect, and they wanted a first-round draft pick. So based on what they said they wanted, they did what they were supposed to do. Now, so I'm fine with it from that perspective, but of course it comes down to how these players pan out going forward. I'm a big fan of Beauvillier. I think that he is going to be a good player in this league. And then what I didn't like is how that first rounder was has been protected. If I understand correctly, they can't get into the top 12, I believe, this season. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if it was unprotected on a team that's kind of on the bubble to make the playoffs, I would have liked it a lot more. But also, after everything that went down, like it's another discussion, but you've driven the asset price down on an asset that you want to flip. So, I mean, what more can you do at that point, right? So asset management is a different discussion, but based on how everything went this year, I think that they got what they could have at this point.
So do you think they're going to trade Demko?
Oh, I think that's really tough. I'm inclined to say yes eventually. But as I can make more of a case for it in the summertime as opposed to the trade deadline. Okay. Now the problem with Demko is that he's still young and he's on a favorable deal. So so there's a couple ways that you can look at it, because like clearly he has the potential with his ceiling to be at a Vezina level. So, and you're not a team that's ready to win the Stanley Cup. So if they're looking at major surgery, as they said, then it makes sense to flip them, even if it's to like Buffalo and you get a guy like UPL back, like that, like that makes sense. But if they're looking at retooling, then you can kind of keep Demko on a favorable deal. If I was the Canucks, and nobody listens to me clearly from the front office, I would just blow it all up at this point, right? Like you're
Mhm.
not going to win a Stanley Cup in the next couple of years, so you can actually use Demko's favorable contract as a nice tool to get players in that can help facilitate the rebuild.
Sure. Absolutely agree.
All right. Well, thank you guys for your insight today. Thanks for hopping on here. Greatly appreciated as always. And thank you to everyone in the chat who participated today and came to watch. If you were here and you have not hit subscribe, please make sure to do so. We are live every day, Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, as well as the occasional one-off videos breaking down trades or looking ahead at futures. And on top of that, our new podcast every Wednesday. So there's one that came out yesterday. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure to do so, with David Pagnotta, Dennis Bernstein, and Zach Bodenstein, looking around the biggest stories around the NHL, potential trades that could be coming up, as well as looking at player futures and different division and conference futures there, especially with some of the moves that could be going on. So make sure to check that out. And in the spirit of trade deadline, the NBA trade deadline is today. And on the Hammer HQ YouTube channel with all the guys from the board NBA, there will be a live watch along to close out the trade deadline, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time, hosted by Jacob Gramenya. He will be joined by Josh Goodwin of Raptors Digest, Pips of the board NBA, as well as Clive Bixby from Forward Progress hopping on there. They will likely have some more people joining them on that, but make sure to head over to the Hammer HQ for today's live watch along, 2 to 4 p.m., presented by Betfred Sports there. Breaking everything down as it all happens and wrapping everything up, looking ahead at some of the futures markets in the NBA. So if you enjoyed the content here today, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this stream. That is greatly appreciated. And if you missed anything, you can always find all the picks on the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. You can also find us on all podcasting forums as Edgework. So Money Russ, thank you guys so much. Have a great day today. Good luck on your bets. I'll see you guys next week. And for everyone else, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.